urge for freedom gained momentum as the time advanced. The time also brought about important events which influenced Mahatma Gandhi to give his final call to the British to quit India. जो पिलाने आमे सिविल डिसोबीडियंस आईन अमान्य आंदोलन विषय पढ़ी तार जो मूवमेंट परवर्ती समय रे गांधीजी आउ गोटे मूवमेंट लॉन्च करथिले 1942 से जो मूवमेंट को क्विट इंडिया मूवमेंट कर जाए भारत छाड़ आंदोलन तेणु यही भारत छाड़ आंदोलन जो मूवमेंट लॉन्च होता गांधी द्वारा तार बहुत प्रकार कारण रही से गुड़ डिस्कसन करिया सो द इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस एंड महात्मा गांधी other leaders they gave a final call to the British to quit India immediately. So there are various causes for which Gandhiji decided to launch the Quit India movement. So first of all, after the failure of Cripps mission and departure of Sir Cripps for England, disappointed everywhere in India. Before that, my dear student, what is Cripps mission? A very much important aspect to know, particularly the British government. The British government sent Sir Stafford Cripps, a member of British War Cabinet, to India in March 1942 to find out a solution in consultation with Indian leaders. Hello? Vishwanath Nahak. Any problem is there? So, the British government sent Sir Stafford Cripps, a member of British War Cabinet, to India in March 1942 to find a solution in consultation with Indian leaders. Sir Stafford Cripps spent 3 weeks in India from March to April 1942 and held a discussion with different Indian leaders. Thereafter, Cripps announced his proposal in the form of a draft declaration to be implemented at the end of war, which may be followed by the British government. During this Quit India movement, which was launched by Mahatma Gandhi during the period of 1942, at that time the Second World War was going on. Second World War was going on at that time. So far, after the war, Sir Stafford Cripps, a member of British War Cabinet, he announced and declared some of the important proposals to the Indian leaders. Those proposals were: number one, the British government's aim was the creation of a new Indian Union, which would have a dominion status. Number two, the constitutional rights of the Indian people were accepted, but subject to the condition that the rights could be used only after the war was over. ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମର ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ୱାର୍ଲଡ ୱାର କେବେଠୁ କେଉଁ ପିରିୟଡ ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଆମେ ନଉଛେ
1939 1945.
Okay, during that period this Quit India movement was launched 1942. That time the British War Cabinet, British War Cabinet, a member Sir Stafford Cripps visited India and discussed with different Indian leaders, including Mahatma Gandhi. And a formal discussion was going on during that time between the Indian leaders and the SARS supporters. Different proposals, different proposals were announced. Number one, number two, I have already mentioned you. Number three, if any province desired to stay out of the proposed Indian Union and the negotiation with Britain, it would be free to do so. Number four, the British government would hand over all government departments to Indian representatives, but not defense. Number five, in exchange of this concession, Britain expected for India's support in its war effort. जो समय वर्ल्ड वार चली सेकेंड वर्ल्ड वार से समय ब्रिटिशर्स माने एक प्लान करके इंडियन मान सहित गोटे प्रपोजाल देले जोटा कि ब्रिटिश कहला आमको ये वार पीरियड रे साहाय्य कर किंतु परवर्ती समय रे different organization, political parties rejected the proposal of SARS supporters. Number one, the Congress, particularly the Indian National Congress, rejected the Cripps proposal as it was not satisfied merely with the promises of their demands. प्रथमे इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस भारतीय जातीय कांग्रेस क्रिप्स प्रपोजल को रिजेक्ट करदेला कारण तांकर जो प्रमिज गुड़िक से करथिले ब्रिटिश माने से प्रमिज गुड़ा को से माने रखिले नाही एंड द फ्रीडम ऑफ नॉन एक्सेशन ऑफ प्रोविंसेस टू द इंडियन यूनियन वाज अ सीरियस थ्रेट टू इंडियन यूनिटी. गांधी wanted undivided India. The Indian National Congress also objected to the composition of the constitution making body in which the representatives from the princely states would be nominated by the ruler, not elected by the people. First जो क्रिप्स देइसला जो डिमांड ताको कांग्रेस रिजेक्ट कला प्रथमे and after rejection of the Congress they demanded a full control over defense. से डिफेंस को मना करते देवेनि वाली किंतु एमाने कहले हमको डिफेंस दिया जाओ and stating that a slave country cannot have an inspiration. So first of all the Cripps proposal was rejected by the Indian National Congress. Number two, the Muslim League also rejected the Cripps proposal on two grounds. That it did not recognize separate electorate. माने separate election कहा का India and Pakistan. Separate electorate for the constitution making body and that the demand for the partition of India had not been accepted. Partition of India को accept कले नहीं के Muslim League. Then the Sikhs also rejected the proposal. The Hindu Mahasabha also rejected because the Pakistan virus was alleged. कारण सही समय रे during that period the Britishers and the Indian National Congress they thought to divide India into two parts, India and Pakistan. So thus all the parties rejected the Cripps proposal and Cripps mission ended in failure. So first of all you have to know about the Cripps mission. I have already elaborated to you that Cripps SARS support Cripps visited India and stayed India and thereafter he followed some proposals to Indian leaders with discussions with Mahatma Gandhi. But all the Congress leaders, Muslim League, the Sikhs, other Hindu Mahasabha rejected Cripps proposal. For that Cripps proposal ended in failure. After that different resolution was adopted by Indian National Congress and Mahatma Gandhi to form the Quit India movement. First, the Congress Working Committee met at Wardha in July 1942 and passed a resolution. That resolution was known as in the history as the Quit India Resolution. It renewed the demand that British rule India must end immediately. The British rule in India must immediately, and the response from the government to the appeal was negative and denied any grant of complete independence during the time of ongoing World War. ଯେତେବେଳେ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ କ୍ରିପ୍ସ ମିଶନ ଫେଲର ହେଲା, ପ୍ରଥମେ କଂଗ୍ରେସ ୱାର୍କିଂ କମିଟି ମାନେ ୱାର୍ଦ୍ଧାଟାରେ ଜୁଲାଇ 1943 ରେ ଗୋଟେ ରିଜଲ୍ୟୁସନ ପାସ୍ କରିଥିଲେ। ସେ ରିଜଲ୍ୟୁସନ ଟି ହଉଛି କ୍ୱିଟ୍ ଇଣ୍ଡିଆ ରିଜଲ୍ୟୁସନ। ଆଣ୍ଡ ସେଇ ଯୋଉ ରିଜଲ୍ୟୁସନ ଟି ହେଇଥିଲା, ସେ ରିଜଲ୍ୟୁସନ ଲେଖିଥିଲେ ଯେ ଶୀଘ୍ର କେମିତି ବ୍ରିଟିଶର୍ସ ମାନେ ଭାରତରୁ ପଳାୟନ କରିବେ। କିନ୍ତୁ ପରବର୍ତ୍ତୀ ସମୟରେ ଦ ବ୍ରିଟିଶ ଗଭର୍ଣ୍ଣମେଣ୍ଟ ଡିଡ୍ ନଟ୍ ରେସ୍ପନ୍ସ ଏନି ଆପିଲ ଅଫ ଦି ଇଣ୍ଡିଆନ୍ସ during the time of ongoing world war. Second world war ଯେତେବେଳେ ଚାଲିଛି ସେତେବେଳେ ସେଗୁଡା କିଛି ସେ ଶୁଣିଲେ ନାହିଁ। କିଏ ଶୁଣିଲେନି? ଦ ବ୍ରିଟିଶର୍ସ। ପିଲାମାନେ ବୁଝିପାରୁଛ ତ? So after Wardha resolution, another resolution was also passed in Bombay. The All India Congress Committee later on met in Bombay on August 8, 1942, approved Wardha resolution with highest majority. It sanctioned the non-violent mass struggle under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi appealed every Indian to participate in this movement. Mahatma Gandhi, in his speech, once said, "Every one of you from this moment onwards, consider yourself a free man or woman and act as if you are free. I am not going to be satisfied with anything short of freedom. We shall do or die in the attempt." The place where the Congress passed resolution is that Kolia Tank Maidan is now known as the August Kranti Maidan. এই ଯୋଉ ରିଜଲ୍ୟୁସନ ଟା ପାସ୍ କରାଗଲା, କୋଉ ରିଜଲ୍ୟୁସନ ଟା? ୱାର୍ଦ୍ଧା ରିଜଲ୍ୟୁସନ। ଏବଂ ବମ୍ବେ ଠାରେ ହାଇଏଷ୍ଟ ମେଜରିଟି ନେଇକି ପାସ୍ କରାଗଲା। ଯୋଉଠି ପାସ୍ କରାଗଲା ସେଇ ଯୋଉ ପ୍ଲେସ, ଯୋଉ ଜାଗା ନା ହଉଛି ଗାଉଲିଆ ଟ୍ୟାଙ୍କ ମେଦାନ ସେଟା ଏବେ ତାଙ୍କୁ କୁହାଯାଇଛି ଅଗଷ୍ଟ କ୍ରାନ୍ତି ମେଦାନ। ଆଣ୍ଡ ଦ call was do or die, karo ya moro. The concept do or die and karo ya moro, the concept was adopted by Mahatma Gandhi. Then progress of the movement and progress of the Quit India movement. The British government was closely monitoring the situation and had made elaborate preparation to cross the proposed rebellion. जो क्विट इंडिया मूवमेंट भी आरंभ कले किए? द इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस एंड महात्मा गांधी. So the British government was closely monitoring the situation and had made elaborate preparation to cross the proposed rebellion. ए मूवमेंट को केमती क्रॉस करिवो से गुडिको से चिंता कला। एवं on August 8, 1942, on August 8, 1942, the police arrested Mahatma Gandhi, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and all eminent Congress leaders. And apart from that, the news of these arrests left the country leaderless. ଯେତେବେଳେ ମେନ୍ ଲିଡର ମାନେ ଆରେଷ୍ଟ ହେଇଗଲେ କେବେ? 9th August 8, 1942 ରେ the British police arrested the main leaders like Mahatma Gandhi, Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, including other eminent leaders. The news of these arrests left the country leaderless and the spontaneous movement of protest arose everywhere. ସବୁ ଜାଗାରେ ମାନେ ପ୍ରୋଟେଷ୍ଟ ହେଇଗଲା କାହା ବିରୁଦ୍ଧରେ? ବ୍ରିଟିଶର୍ସ ମାନଙ୍କ। एंड एटा केमिति हला ना जते बेले तुमे माने जानथबो इंडिविजुअल सत्याग्रह इंडिविजुअल सिविल डिसोबीडियंस जते कले सेइत पे लोक मान भितर जातीयता भाव सृष्टि हला परवर्ती समय सबु जगार जोठी लोक माने थिले ब्रिटिशर्स मानक एग्नेस्ट रे लड़िया को चेष्टा कले एंड द ब्रिटिशर्स डिक्लेयर्ड कांग्रेस organization illegal after the police arrested different eminent leaders of the Indian National Congress and its funds were frozen जो funds गुड़ा थिला पैसा गुड़ा थिला ताकू नहीं गले एवं the government thought that this action would cross the movement but the people still went ahead and reacted it any manner they could all over the country there are spontaneous hartal, strikes in factories, schools and colleges, and demonstration which were lathi charged and fire upon. Repeated firings were going on. In many places, the people took violent action. They attacked the police stations, post offices, railway stations, etc. They cut the lines of telephone, telegraph wires, railway lines, and burnt government buildings. Bombay, United Provinces, Bihar, Central Provinces, Madras, and Bengal were the most affected in this respect. So, after the arrest of Mahatma Gandhi and other eminent Congress leaders, the Britishers declared Congress organization illegal and Indian National Congress was banned. And its funds were frozen. माने जते बेले बड़ बड़ नेता माने इंक्लूडिंग महात्मा गांधी ब्रिटिशर्स मानक द्वारा अरेस्ट हेले ता परे ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस को इलीगल आख्या देला एवं तार सबु फंड्स गुडी को जब्त कर देला किंतु गवर्नमेंट एइट भाबिला जे एई एक्शन करिबा द्वारा एई जो काम गुडी को से कले मुवमेंट अग्रगति करिबो नै किंतु से मानकर भूल धारणा थिला परवर्ती समय रे से देखिले ऑल ओवर द कंट्री चारि आडे लोक माने हड़ताल कले स्ट्राइक कले स्कूल कॉलेज रे भी ताला पके देले एवं एई ब्रिटिश पुलिस माने रागी की फायरिंग्स मध्यम कले एंड द पीपल टुक वायलेंट एक्शंस आल्सो हिंसार नेले परवर्ती समय रे दे अटैक्ड पुलिस स्टेशन से माने पुलिस स्टेशन को अटैक कले पोस्ट ऑफिस मध्य अटैक कले रेलवे लाइन सॉरी रेलवे स्टेशन को मध्य से माने अटैक करके सब असुविधा पकेले ब्रिटिशर्स मानकू एवं दे कट ऑफ टेलीफोन लाइन से माने जो कथावार्ता जो टेलीफोन लाइन्स को काटिले टेलीफोन टेलीग्राफ वायर्स को मध्य काटिले रेलवे लाइन्स को मध्य काटिदेले बॉन्ड गवर्नमेंट बिल्डिंग सरकारी ऑफिस गुडी को जारी देले एवं यार बेसी अफेक्टेड हेले को एरिया रे बॉम्बे यूनाइटेड प्रोविंसेस बिहार सेंट्रल प्रोविंसेस एंड मद्रास and also Bengal. However, during this period, two new trends became evident. Firstly, the orthodox non-violent civil disobedience movement, and secondly, drift towards revolutionary terrorism. After the Quit India movement, revolutionary terrorism, माने अन्य लीडर्स माने रिवोल्यूशनरी एक्टिविटीज रे सदाले लिप्त रहिले. 2. After September 1942, on account of increasing British repression, the movement went underground. Underground movement मध्य स्टार्ट कर देले. एवं as the government repression continued, some leaders organized underground activities. भीतर रही कि अगर एक्टिविटीज करिवे. There is even an underground radio station which functioned for some time. And these people were received support from common people. Businessmen donated generously for the activities of underground movement. Common men provided shelter and hideouts to underground activities. Students acted as couriers and delivered bombs and other materials across the country. लुचिकी मध्य से आंदोलन सृष्टि करथिले परवर्ती समय जो जो लोक माने विद्रोह करथिले सेमानकु मध्य सपोर्ट करथिले हमर बिजनेस बिजनेसमैन माने वाणिज्य करथुवा लोक माने एवं कॉमन मैन प्रोवाइडेड शेल्टर साधारण लोक माने तांकू घरे रखुले एवं स्टूडेंट्स माने एक्टेड एज कोरियर छोट छोट पिला माने जो छात्र माने सबू कथबार्ता आ पाखु ता पाखु नै कि तांकू जणैबा कोरियर डेलीवर करथले एवं बम मध्य तांकू दउथले and this movement underground movement was supported by the congress socialists like achyuta patwardhan ram manohar lohia joy prakash narayan and aruna asaf ali. These people particularly, who are they? That your Achyut Patwardhan, Ram Manohar Lohia, Joy Prakash Narayan and Aruna Asaf Ali. They supported the underground movement and which continued till the end of 1943. 1942 to 43 madhyare underground movement madhya chalila. And Usha Mehta managed to operate an underground mobile radio station from Bombay. Remember, one Usha Mehta managed to operate an underground mobile radio station from Bombay. Even if Usha Mehta madhya gote mobile radio station ମାନେ underground କରିକି ଲୁଚେଇକି ମଧ୍ୟ ରଖିକି ତାକୁ ମଧ୍ୟ ସେମାନେ ବ୍ୟବହାର କରୁଥିଲେ ଟୁ କିଛି ଇନଫର୍ମେସନ ଦଉଥିଲେ ଏବଂ କିଛି ଇନଫର୍ମେସନ डाटा ସବୁ କଲେକ୍ଟ କରୁଥିଲେ ଏବଂ डिफरेंट स्टेजेस ଦେଇକି ମଧ୍ୟ ଏ ନନ୍ କ୍विट इंडिया मूवमेंट ଯାଇଥିଲା ଏବଂ ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ସ୍ଟେଜ ରେ ଯୋଉଟା କି ମୁଁ କହିଲି ପ୍ରଥମେ 9th ଅଗଷ୍ଟ 1942 ରୁ 11th ଅଗଷ୍ଟ 1942 पर्यंत ସେମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ଫାର୍ଷ୍ଟ ଫେଜ ଦେଇକି लोक माने क्विट इंडिया मूवमेंट को आगे नहीं एवं परवर्ती समय द पीपुल अटैक जोड़ा मु कहली गवर्नमेंट बिल्डिंग डिफरेंट स्टेजेस जोड़ा है प्रथम आग गांधी जी को कथा नहीं कि से माने नॉन वायलेंस अडॉप्ट करथिले किंतु परवर्ती समय वायलेंट हे गले जो माने कि अंडरग्राउंड मूवमेंट मध्य करथिले देन गवर्नमेंट रिप्रेशन the British government tried to repress the Indian people through lathi charges, imprisonment, torture, machine gun firing, bombing from airplanes. The press was completely muzzled. Prisoners were tortured. The military took over many towns and cities. Over 10,000 people died in police firing. 10,000 लोग पुलिस गुली रे मृत्युवरण करथिले एवं द ब्रिटिश पुट डाउन द मूवमेंट विथ रथलेस ब्रुटालिटी ब्रिटिशर्स माने बहुत रथलेस स्टेप नेथिले एवं बहुत प्रकार गुली बम ऊपर मध्य एयरप्लेन रो मध्य बम पके कि लोक मानकू बहुत मारिथिले एवं बहु लोक माने जेल रे मध्य ताकू पुरैथिले in the end the government succeeded in crushing the movement. Its importance lay in the fact that it demonstrated the depth that nationalist feeling had reached in the country and great sacrifice that the people had developed. Independence was then placed on the immediate agenda of the national movement. It was evident that British would no longer find it is possible to rule India against the wish of the people. They realized, the Britishers realized that it was not possible to rule in India against the wishes of the people. ସେମାନେ ଜାଣି ପାରିଲେ ଯେ ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କର ଯଦି ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କ ସପୋର୍ଟ ନଥିବ ଏଠି ସେମାନେ ରାଜନୀତି କରିପାରିବେ ନାହିଁ ତେଣୁ these are the concept of the Quit India movement and the causes of the failure of the movement that according to Dr. Amba Prasad 3 reasons chiefly contributed to the failure of this Quit India movement. Number one, shortcomings in the organization of the revolution, faithfulness of the government official. Number three, the strong position of the English government. The Quit India movement also failed because the rulers of the native states, army, police, and high government officials and officers remained faithful to the English government. And the work of the government continued unhampered. Actually, the main reason of the failure of this movement was that the power of the government heavily outweighed the power of the revolutionaries. The revolutionaries neither had their spy system nor did they possess any means of communication. Moreover, their economic power was also quite inferior to that of the English government. Hence, the movement failed, but its significance and contribution to the freedom movement of India cannot be denied. So, after this Quit India movement, many areas the revolutionary nationalism was going on, and this revolutionary nationalism first due to the creation national awareness among the Indian people, and it originated, the revolutionary movement was originated in the sense of nationalism. It is widely believed that the British brought an effective administrative setup and sound educational system in India. But different educational system was adopted by the Britishers for the Indians, but it was the British introduced the British introduced the educational system, but in Western line that was responsible for the rise of a middle class. The Western educated class was enough sensitive to appealing majority of the Indian people. So there are several causes for the emergence of revolutionary, but the first revolutionary activities were started in Maharashtra. Maharashtra, the man single-handedly developed a revolutionary organization to overthrow the British rule. That person's name was Vasudev Balwant Phadke. That freedom fighter known as Sri Vasudev Balwant Phadke. And he was the first person who made systematic efforts to organize revolt against the British. ତେଣୁ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ରିଭଲ୍ୟୁସନାରୀ ଆକ୍ଟିଭିଟିଜ କଲେ ମାନେ ବ୍ରିଟିଶର୍ସ ମାନଙ୍କର ଥ୍ରୁ ଭାଉଲେଣ୍ଟ ଆଡପ୍ସନ ପ୍ରଥମେ ହେଲେ ବାସୁଦେବ ବଲବନ୍ତ ଫାଡକେ। ପିଲାମାନେ ବୁଝିପାରୁଛ ତ? So Vasudev Balwant Phadke, he was the first person who made systematic efforts to organize revolt against the British. He launched the armed struggle against the British supremacy with the help of other sections of the society, such as Ramses, Bhils, and other tribes. So Sri Vasudev Balwant Phadke, with the help of tribal peoples, he launched an armed struggle against the British supremacy. And after that, then another the person from this Chepkar brothers, the Chepkar brothers also were the first to make use of violent actions for political purpose. They were pioneers in the militant extremist phase of nationalism. The Chepkar brothers, like Damodar Balkrishna and Vasudev, these two were born in Pune. They had no regular education, but they developed deep hatred towards English rule. They founded the Hindu Dharma Sankirtani Sabha in 1894 and carried out various activities in and around Pune. ତେଣୁ ଏଇ ଯୋଉ ଚପକର୍ସ ବ୍ରଦର କୋଉଠି ମହାରାଷ୍ଟ୍ର ପୁନେ ଠାରେ ଏମାନେ ଭାଉଲେଣ୍ଟ ଆକ୍ସନ ଭାଉଲେଣ୍ଟ ଦ୍ଵାରା ବ୍ରିଟିଶର୍ସ ମାନଙ୍କ ଏଗନେଷ୍ଟ ରେ ଲଢିଲେ ଏବଂ ସେମାନେ ଗୋଟେ ସଭା କ୍ରିଏଟ କଲେ 1894 ରେ ସେଇ ସଭା ଦ୍ଵାରା ସେମାନେ ଭାରିୟସ୍ ଆକ୍ଟିଭିଟିଜ କଲେ କୋଉଠି ପୁନେରେ and in the same year see in 1894 they circulated pamphlets and leaflets during the Ganesh festival and motivated the people to rise in arms against the British as Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj had done against the Mughal ruler. ଯେମିତି ଛତ୍ରପତି ଶିବାଜୀ ମୋଗଲ ମାନଙ୍କ ବିରୁଦ୍ଧରେ ସ୍ୱର ଉତ୍ତୋଳନ କରିଥିଲେ ସେମିତି ଏମାନେ ଚେପକର୍ସ ବ୍ରଦର୍ସ ମାନେ ମଧ୍ୟ ବ୍ରିଟିଶର୍ସ ମାନଙ୍କ ବିରୁଦ୍ଧରେ ସ୍ୱର ଉତ୍ତୋଳନ କରିଥିଲେ। ତାପରେ ଆଉ ଜଣେ ଆସିଲେ ପପୁଲାରଲି ନୋନ୍ ଆଜ୍ ଭିଡି ସବରକର, ବିନାୟକ ଦାମୋଦର ସବରକର, ପପୁଲାରଲି ନୋନ୍ ଆଜ୍ ସ୍ୱତନ୍ତ୍ର ବୀର ସବରକର, ପପୁଲାରଲି ନୋନ୍ ଆଜ୍ ସ୍ୱତନ୍ତ୍ର ବୀର Savarkar, who was born in 1883 in the Nashik district. So, apart from Chepkar brothers and this Sri Vasudev Balband Phadke, another person whose name was Binayak Damodar Savarkar, popularly known as Swatantra Veer Savarkar, who was born in 1883 in the Nashik district. He also played a vital role in revolutionary activities. He appealed people for the reconstruction of the nation on the basis of staunch national feelings. This they were responsible to spread revolutionary and secret societies in different parts of Maharashtra in the early 20th century, particularly V.D. Savarkar. And in 1899, 1899 ଖ୍ରୀଷ୍ଟାବ୍ଦରେ V.D. Savarkar and his colleagues set up an organization which was known as Mitra Mela. ତେଣୁ 1899 ଖ୍ରୀଷ୍ଟାବ୍ଦରେ V.D. Savarkar ତାଙ୍କ ସାଙ୍ଗମାନଙ୍କ ସହିତ ଗୋଟେ ଅର୍ଗାନାଇଜେସନ କଲେ। ସେ ଅର୍ଗାନାଇଜେସନ ନାଁ ହଉଛି ମିତ୍ର ମେଳା। The Mela organized Ganpati festival and Shivaji festival, and it also arranged the publication of revolutionary literature. This Mela, Mitra Mela, aroused the nationalist feelings among the young people. And Abhinav Bharat at that time in the year 1904 was founded by Ganesh Savarkar and Binayak Savarkar. It was the most active revolutionary organization in Maharashtra. So Abhinav Bharat, which was founded by Ganesh Savarkar and Binayak Savarkar in the year 1904, was the most active revolutionary organization in Maharashtra. And apart from Binayak Savarkar, another person, Madanlal Dhingra, who was very much inspired by the revolutionary activities of V.D. Savarkar. The district magistrate of Nashik arrested Ganesh Savarkar on the instigation of Curzon Welly को द्वारा प्रवर्तित हुई ब्रिटिशर्स माने गणेश सावरकर को अरेस्ट कले एंड मदनलाल धिग्रा had planned to kill लॉर्ड कर्जन वाली को मारिया पे मदनलाल धिग्रा कौन कला माने प्लान कला but he did not get the opportunity. And apart from this, about the same time, Ganesh Savarkar, the elder brother V.D. Savarkar, was convicted in Nashik on the charge of waging war against British Empire. सेमानकु ब्रिटिशर्स माने कहले एमाने ए दुई भाई इंग्लिश विरुद्ध रे करछन तांकु संगे संगे अरेस्ट करा गला. Then another person, Vishnu Ganesh Singhal, who was born in the year 1888 in Pune. He has also played an active role in revolutionary activities. He was educated in Samrat Vidyalaya. In 1911, he went to USA, America କୁ ଯାଇଥିଲେ There he came under the influence of Gadar movement. Lala Hardayal greatly influenced him. So he also became an active revolutionary, but he was later on caught by the Britishers in the year 1951. Then Senapati Bapat, popularly known as Pandurang Bapat, he was also an instrumental in spreading the art of making bombs. ये जो सेनापति बापत तांको ना जो इतिहास रे हमें देखुचे से बम तैयारी करिबारे माहिर थिले एंड ही सप्लाइड बम मैनुअल टू रिवोल्यूशनरीज इन महाराष्ट्र को से माने बम सप्लाई करथिले तैयारी करिकी एवं परवर्ती समय रे से माने मध्य से रिवोल्यूशनरी एक्टिविटीज रे मध्य जॉइन करथिले दिस सेनापति बापत was born in Ahmednagar and graduated from Deccan College in Pune. During his college days, he decided to dedicate his life in the service of motherland. He participated in the Bead Rebellion. He obtained the scholarship and went to England for studies in mechanical engineering. Due to his revolutionary activities, the university stopped his scholarship. And in England, he met Russian revolutionaries. He went from London to Paris. In Paris, he learned the skill of a bomb. Paris को जो गला केमिति bomb तैयारी हुए से सिखिला. And he carried the manual of bomb making in India. से bomb केमिति तैयारी हबो सेठी सिखिले एवं इंडिया को आसिले. Then he was very much influenced by the philosophy and the techniques of Mahatma Gandhi and accepted the path of satyagraha and non-violence. Then the revolutionary activities also found in Punjab, like your different revolutionaries under Ram Prasad Bismil, Jogesh Chatterjee, Sachindra Nath Sanayal met in Kanpur in October 1924 and founded the Hindustan Republic Association. Apart from this, Bhagat Singh, as you all know, he was an Indian revolutionary socialist who was influential in the Indian independence movement. He studied European revolutionary movements as a teenager and was attracted to anarchist and Marxist ideologies. He worked with several revolutionary organizations and became prominent in the Hindustan Republic Association, popularly known as HRA, which changed his name to the Hindustan Socialist Republic Association in 1928. And particularly this Bhagat Singh became disillusioned with Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy of non-violence after he called up the non-cooperation movement. He was very much dissatisfied with the call of Mahatma Gandhi. And this call, Gandhi's decision followed the violent murders of the policemen by villagers who are reacting to the police killing 3 villagers in 1922 Chauri Chora incident. As I have already discussed with you, my dear students. Then, the Bhagat Singh, inspired by the Young Italy movement, which was going through by Mazzini. He founded, like Mazzini, Bhagat Singh founded Indian Nationalist Youth Organization, Naujawan Bharat Sabha, in March 1926. सेठू से आसी आमर यंग इटाली रो जेमती माजिनी करछंती सेमती मध्य से माने आसिकी भगत सिंह आसिकी गोटे एसोसिएशन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन करथले से ऑर्गेनाइजेशन रो ना होची द इंडियन नेशनलिस्ट यूथ ऑर्गेनाइजेशन नौजवान भारत सभा केबे इन मार्च 1926. And he also joined Hindustan Republican Association, which in Hindustan Republic Association he was associated with different eminent leaders like Chandrasekhar Azad, Ram Prasad Bismil, and Shahid Ashfaq Ullah Khan. So, this Bhagat Singh and Batukeshwara Datta were tried in the assembly bomb case later on. Their fearless and defiant attitude in the court, their slogans as Inqilab Zindabad, down with imperialism, long live the proletariat, and their revolutionary songs as Sarfarosh ki tamanna of Hamari Dil Mein Hai and Mere Rang De Basanti Chola was reported in the newspaper. This Batukeshwara Datta, Sukhdev and Bhagat Singh played an important role in the revolutionary activities. They tried to put their pressure on Britishers. But later on, while in Delhi jail, Bhagat Singh and Batukeshwara demanded they be treated not as criminals but as political prisoners. But later on, these Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, Rajguru, educated became a political issue. A resolution was passed by the Karachi session of the Congress in 1931, commending their very contribution to the freedom struggle of India. And these peoples, particularly Bhagat Singh, Batukeshwara Datta, their name remained immortal till death. So the other persons also, different parties were also developed at that time, particularly the Gadar party. The Indian Independence Committee also developed in Berlin. So the outbreak of the First World War in 1914 gave a new impetus to the freedom struggle. And during the Swadeshi movement, during the time of Swadeshi movement, the Indian nationalists in the United States published number of journals containing articles against the British rule in India. As a result of these activities, a number of political organizations were also established in America. Lala Hardayal, a political figure from India, organized the nationalists in the United States and published a weekly paper, the Gadar, for free circulation. ତେଣୁ ଏ ଯୋଉ ଗଦର ପାର୍ଟିଟି ହେଇଥିଲା ପରବର୍ତ୍ତୀ ସମୟରେ during the period of World War, First World War, this Gadar means revolution. Gadar means revolution, and its headquarters was Jugantar Ashrama in San Francisco. A Gadar movement जो आरंभ Gadar movement जो ହେଇଥିଲା तार headquarters कोड ଥିଲା San Francisco रे. मोर कहिबा हला जे apart from these three important movements which was led by Mahatma Gandhi, before that these revolutionary movements were carried by different eminent leaders against the British Raj. So after the outbreak of First World War, Lala Hardayal and other Indians abroad moved to Germany and set up the Indian Independence Committee at Berlin. The committee planned to bring out a general insurrection in India. So different movements were carried on by the revolutionary activities, apart from Mahatma Gandhi's three important movements, which was known as your civil disobedience movement, non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, and Quit India movement. In non-cooperation movement, as we see, the background, as I have already discussed with you, my dear students, number one, Rowlatt Act, 1919, anti-Rowlatt Satyagraha, then Jallianwala Bagh massacre, then Khilafat movement, and different session, the session of Indian National Congress Nagpur session, the non-cooperation movement program, and the progress of the movement, and the Chauri Chora incident, and the arrest of Mahatma Gandhi, and release of Mahatma Gandhi, and the important were carried on by Mahatma Gandhi. Later on, civil disobedience movement was was also adopted by Mahatma Gandhi with the goal of Purna Swaraj, Simon Commission, and the Nehru Report, Jinnah's 14 point, and in Lahore session of Congress 1929, complete independence declared, and the beginning of Dandi March by Mahatma Gandhi, salt satyagraha, progress of the civil disobedience movement. Later on, after the CDM, the first roundtable conference held in 1930, in which many members were elected, but Mahatma Gandhi was not elected to join this first roundtable conference. Then Gandhi Union Pact was concluded in 5th March 1931. Second roundtable conference was held in London between September and December 1931, and Gandhiji was the sole representative from India to attend the conference, and in that conference, that Winston Churchill has remarked half-naked fakir. So these movements are carried on, and in second phase, Khan Abdul Ghaffar Khan played an important role in CDN. Then Gandhiji passed on to death. Later on, third roundtable conference was held, was called between November to December 1932, but the Congress boycotted it. Congress did not attend, and the third roundtable conference. Later on, the Quit India movement, the failure of the Cripps mission, and the growing threat to the Japanese aggression brought about a radical change in Gandhiji's attitude towards the British government. The people discontent was rising more because of rising prices and shortage of food due to the Second World War. And apart from this, the Congress Working Committee met at Wardha in July 1942, passed a resolution called the Quit India Resolution. It renewed the demand that British rule India must end immediately. The response from the British government to the appeal was negative. The British government denied any grant of complete independence during the time of ongoing Second World War. So again, this Wardha resolution was approved in highest majority in Bombay, and at that time the slogan "Do or die, ya karo ya moro." The British government was closely monitoring the situation, and many important leaders, including Mahatma Gandhi, were arrested on August 8, 1942, and different hostile strikes, demonstration, lathi charge fire upon was by the Britishers, angered by repeated firings. The people attacked the police station, post offices, railway stations, etc. They cut off telephone lines, telegraph wires, railway lines, and burnt government buildings. Later on, underground movement was carried on by different important leaders, and the movement was supported by different Congress socialist leaders like Achyut Patwardhan, Ram Manohar Lohia, Jayaprakash Narayan, Aruna Asaf-Ali, and this underground movement continued till the end of 1943. Later on, the British government repressed with lathi charges, imprisonments, torture, machine gun firings, and bombing from airplanes. So apart from this, in the end, the government succeeded in crushing the movement. But Gandhiji's contribution to the freedom movement of India has no parallels in the contemporary Indian history. He held the period from the national movement from 1919 to 1947. And during this period, he was the supreme leader of the Indian people. He adopted noble means of non-violence and satyagraha to fight the war for freedom. He showed a new path to the Indian politics. The national movement became mass movement under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. Though the weapons of non-cooperation and civil disobedience, he fought the mighty British Empire. During this agitation, the Indian people exhibited matchless zeal, vigor, and patience. It was under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi that ultimately India became free, and he deserves to be called as the father of nation. ପିଲାମାନେ ବୁଝିପାରିଲ?
ସାର୍ ହରତାଲ ଆଉ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରାଇକ୍ ଭିତରେ ଡିଫରେନ୍ସ କ'ଣ ନା ଏକା ଜିନିଷ?
ନା ଷ୍ଟ୍ରାଇକ୍ ଏକା ଜିନିଷ କିନ୍ତୁ ଦିଟା ୱାର୍ଡ ଅଲଗା ଆଉ ବୁଝିପାରିଲେ ତ? ମନେକର ଷ୍ଟ୍ରାଇକ୍ ଆପଣ ଶୁଣନ୍ତୁ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରାଇକ୍ କଲେ କୋଉଠି ଷ୍ଟ୍ରାଇକ୍ ଆପଣ କରିବେ ମନେକର ସ୍କୁଲ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରାଇକ୍ ଇନ୍ ଫ୍ୟାକ୍ଟ୍ରି ମାନଙ୍କର ଷ୍ଟ୍ରାଇକ୍ କରିବେ ଯେମିତି କି ଲୋକମାନେ ଯୋଉ ଆମର ଯୋଉ ଲେବର ମାନେ ଷ୍ଟ୍ରାଇକ୍ କରୁଛନ୍ତି ହରତାଲ ମାନେ ଧାରଣା ଦେଇକି ବସିଲେ
ହରତାଳ ହଙ୍ଗର୍ସ କି
ହଁ ହଙ୍ଗର୍ସ
different modes of protest
different ମାନେ different names different modes or different names. So next class we will discuss about Subhash Chandra Bose and Indian National Army. Any questions from your side? तुमर केतोटी पेपर पिला ने? चारोटी पेपर चारटा पेपर नहीं कि आ पर आ गोटे पेपर थिबो
यस सर आ गोटे अछि
क्रिप्स मिशन ता बुझलो तो
हाँ सर
से क्रिप्स मिशन आसीथिले कोन ब्रिटिश गवर्नमेंट तांको पठैथला टास्क सपोर्ट क्रिप्स to India to find a solution with the Indian leaders. बुझिपारे कि नहीं तेणु सेठी से कौन कला ना क्रिप्स गोटे प्रपोजल कला इंडिया लीडर्स मान को देला कि इंडियन लीडर्स मान ताको रिजेक्ट कर देले परवर्ती समय
एक्चुअली से आसीथिले बुझाउची करके बसै दे बोली ये मानलेनी
हां मानलेनी हां से माने मानलेनी और से माने से चाहिले जे नाइ हमर कंप्लीट इंडिपेंडेंस जहा गोल थिला आमे चाहिबू आमे करिकि नबो मध्य एवं एथिरे से माने सहमत हेले नाही तेणु विभिन्न प्रकार प्रोटेस्ट कले ब्रिटिशर्स माने परवर्ती समय मध्य हंगर स्ट्राइक हैला हड़ताल हैला जोटा आमे कहिले एवं ब्रिटिशर्स माने रडलेसली माने लोकमान को माने मारिछंती बम पकेछंती बहुत असुविधा है एटा सहजरे आमर इंडियन इंडिपेंडेंस ता आमे गेन करिने तेणु क्रेडिट गोज टू नॉट ओनली महात्मा गांधी एंड टोटल eminent leaders of Indian National Congress and who also led underground movement and also revolutionary activities like B.D. Savarkar, Chepkos brothers, Bhagat Singh, Batukeshwar Datta, Sukhdev एमाने मध्य बहुत तांकर अछि कोन अवदान अछि भारतीय जातीय आंदोलन क्षेत्र रे सर्वशेष रे जे आहुरी तांकर इंपोर्टेंट रही जहार अवदान से हेले सुभाष चंद्र बोस सेटा हमें नेक्स्ट क्लास रे हमें पढ़िबा देन ता नेक्स्ट क्लास रे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ सेटा तो बहुत बड़ लेंदी एटा देखिबा आस्ते सारिबा तुम माने ए जो 8टी क्लास हला 8टी क्लास फॉर योर ओनली इंफॉर्मेशन तेने तुमे माने निजे बसी की घरे पढ़िबार अछि नोट्स प्रिपेयर करिवार अछि बुझि परलो
यस सर यस